So Joris, what is going on here?
I think 2 weeks ago you showed me this Dogecoin tipping app in Facebook.
Yeah, we made it rain, if I'm not mistaken.
We made it rain in the Dogecoin world, and
Yeah.
now we're going to take that to Ethereum levels.
You think we can really make it rain in the Ethereum world?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I'm excited to see.
So what we did is together with a local buddy here in Holland, we created the smart contract, the Make It Rain smart contract, and also we made the user interface to this. So this is one of the exciting upcoming features in the proof of concept version 5, where you can have JavaScript bindings, so you can really create a web interface to your smart contracts and integrate it instead of having to do manual transactions
So
yourself.
so you mean instead of putting my malware and like browser extensions, I can now put it in extensions for AlethZero?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, cool. All right.
So let me give you a demonstration. So what we got here, we got the Make It Rain web page. I just need to copy paste the URL in AlethZero, and it will show this beautiful user interface. Of course, you need to be connected to the network, which I am currently. It is connecting, so it's doing a name lookup on the name registration.
Wow.
It looks for
Okay.
the contract called Make It Rain, and it automatically finds the current version of the contract.
Wow. Okay.
And you can actually see on the bottom of all the contracts in the current blockchain. So here's actually the Make It Rain contract itself with the same D23, D5, D3D address as that we're using now. You also see a couple tests. So I started out with Make It Test and Make It Test 2. I made the code to be able to suicide and clean itself, but there were a couple bugs in there. So you'll see some skeletons in the blockchain closet.
Mm,
But this should be the current version that we're looking at.
very cool.
So we have the contract body, and it has its own internal state where it keeps track of what were the members of the contract. So what's the main idea here with the Make It
Yeah,
Rain?
why don't you tell us, yeah, how like the general concept first? Because we know a little bit about the Dogecoin thing, right? Where you say I have 100 Doge and I'm gonna tip 100 people 1 Doge each but I have to do this in a Facebook group or something like
Yeah,
that.
so we want to remove the Facebook group dependency, and we want to make our own Ethereum group within the scope of this contract.
And we want to get rich, right?
We want to get rich yourself as well.
Yes, yes.
And currently I'm already very rich with my 418 Finny.
Wow.
And the nice thing is each time I upgrade the contract, I suicide to the old version, and I get all the pending money in there. So that's my hidden scheme to
That's
get
beautiful,
to
Joris.
get there.
I hope I'm gonna get a cut out of
I,
this somehow.
I don't need any crowdfunding for this. This is just this is just easier. So the thought is initially you're not part of the Make It Rain clan yet. So you want to be generous like all the Dodge people are. So you say I wanna tip the people. I wanna give I don't know 15 ether.
So has anyone tipped us yet, Joris, for our videos?
I think there's only 2 members at the moment.
No, I mean our actual tipping address. Maybe we should let people know that at the end of these videos they can actually tip us.
Yeah, at the end of the video. I mean, it will be in the video description of the YouTube video. So we have our Bitcoin and Dogecoin tipping address. I haven't seen any generosity on the Bitcoin address, but maybe you have seen it on the Dogecoin address because Dogecoin people
No.
are much more nicer than Bitcoin people.
Yeah, but I don't know how many Dogecoin people there really are in the Ethereum community, so
I don't know.
it'll be an issue.
I only know you. Have you tipped me yet, Joel?
I will tip you,
Thank
Joris.
you, thank you,
Count on
thank you.
that.
Well, I want to tip you some here, so
All right.
we'll make that mutual. Anyway, I
Well,
want to
let's keep
send
this to Finny and Zabo for now. So,
I want to send 15 ether to these 2 members
yep.
of the Make It Rain clan. and I can say the same thing with the Dogecoin app. It's exciting because you can specify a random range, so nobody knows how much they will be receiving. So
Yeah.
it can be zero, it can be a couple, it can be a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it picks. In this case, we say, well, we wanna tip to, well, we only have 2 members, so we want to do 2.
Yeah.
And now I click on this range button, and now it actually will be doing. It is sending a transaction,
Okay.
and the transaction is 15 Ether,
Mm-hmm.
15,000 Fini. So it is actually withdrawing it from my own balance,
Well,
and
okay.
sending it to the contract. So the total amount tipped should go up, and based on luck, one of these 2 members, or maybe both, they will be getting this. Split up. So what it first does is this 15 finite will be split in half, so 7 half, 7 half, and then twice it will pick a random member from the list of participants.
Nice.
So either I'm tipping myself or I'm taking a Nick, the other guy. So it's not that exciting yet. It's more exciting if we get more people to use this. So after this video, this will become much more interesting.
And how do you become a member here? So,
So actually, once you submitted your tip once, then you're part of the group. So you first need to use it, and then automatically you become member.
mm-hmm.
So that is your way to opt in, and then afterwards you can. Oh, let me actually enable mining. That might help. I mean, there are a couple people on the network now, but I'm not sure anyone is mining. So let me also enable mining just to contribute to this getting processed. So while we wait for that, you don't get immediate payouts on your Ethereum account balance, but it is reserved for you. So we have an internal rain check, the rain
Mm-hmm.
check balance, and you can check what is my current status. So currently for my active address, I have
Well,
0 Ether, but once that goes up, I can actually claim the money and get it withdrawn from this group.
I see. So it's almost like a bank, and
It's a bank. It's also our own currency.
yeah,
It's our own make it rain currency, and then you can withdraw it to yourself.
yeah. Well,
And what's interesting is, of course, as an administrator, I'm the first member to the group. So that's how we get our share. We become automatically members, and we can get random payouts from the community. Okay, so it was just processed. Let me check the balance again. No, I was not lucky. The
both
money
of
went
them,
to the
right?
other both
So
of
it
them.
was
So it's 50-50. So I don't know, 25% chance that I didn't get anything, and yeah, I didn't get anything.
hmm.
We'll try it again.
Let's try again. Maybe you should tip more than 2 recipients.
Well, we only have 2 members in there. So there's a cap. It takes the maximum of the amount of people on there. So you can't send it to 30 recipients if you only have two members in there. 10 Ether to the 2 of us. I was inspired by some of the feedback on the Lotto video. I think
Right.
Jack was saying, well, why don't you publish all kinds of statistics, and that might be interesting to share what's actually going on, and if you're cheating. So actually, the contract, once it is processing any of these tips or it's doing a payout or anything like that, it is updating its own statistics. And of course, from the JavaScript bindings, we can just read the state of the contract and display this in an interactive fashion. So you can see how many members there are, how many times it was tipped, to how
Mm-hmm.
many people or how many recipients were tipped, and the total amount that was tipped out there, and then of course average it out per member.
I mean, it seems like this is almost like a Ponzi tipping thing because you get in early, right? And then
You get in early. I mean, of course, it dilutes your share dilutes over time once there are more members. So your chance of getting tipped are less. But of course, if there are more people tipping, then there's more money going through. So it's a I don't know. It's a transparent Ponzi scheme
or
uh,
tip.
which cannot tip over.
Yeah, I like it. It's the coolest Ponzi scheme I've ever seen.
Okay, look, now I got both.
Oh, wow. All right.
So my balance is 10 Ether.
Yeah.
And it's confusing. Why does it already display this while the transaction itself is still pending?
Mm-hmm.
So currently, Kevin, the developer of the AlethZero client, he has decided to show the post state. So it's the state of the JavaScript bindings. They can actually look into the future. They can actually see what the result would be of a transaction execution before it is processed by the network. Not sure why that is, but that's the state of things. So you can look a little bit. You can look 1 minute into the future with this. So let's take a look at the.
Say that one more time. You can look into the future.
So the
Like,
transaction that I sent is still not processed. It's still pending on the network.
mm-hmm.
But the user interface is already showing that I was the lucky person getting the money.
Right.
So it is showing the state of this transaction as if it was already executed,
Mm-hmm.
even before it was processed by the entire network.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just useful for debugging purposes. You don't need to wait all the time. I'm not sure that's the valid way to really have this going on a live system. Of course, you wanna look at the real consensus state of the network and not some kind of so not I don't know, not the other way around. So once you actually have this 10 ether, I'm not sure. I guess I'm the only guy mining, so that's why this is taking a while.
Mm-hmm.
But then I can withdraw my money, I can claim it, and of course I'll be sent another transaction to myself, and then my total ether balance will go up with 10 ether again.
This is amazing. Joris, you've blown my mind once again.
Cool. So wanna take a brief look at the code.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I put it into GitHub under our own EtherCasts repository. And here's the make it rain contract.
I have this bad feeling you've started using LLL instead of CLL.
Yeah, well, CLL is no longer called CLL. Then it was called HLL. Then it was called Serpent.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, right.
I mean, it looks much more user friendly, but the problem is that the compiler for it was not yet compatible with the LSZero clients. So I could
Mm-hmm.
write contracts, but I could not get them compiled or I could not get them linked into the network. So I'm just using whatever works this week. Maybe next week we can use Serpent again, but this week LLL is the way to go.
That's what I figured. So,
So we have the user interface, we have the makeitrain.html,
right? Yeah, let's look at this.
and that's just what I'm serving, and that's what I'm accessing once you go to this once you go to this link.
You
Uh,
guys are UI or wizards or something over there.
mm, um,
It's pretty good.
so I just copied basically the entire template
Mm.
from Denny's Lotto. So I think
Uh-huh.
Denny's Lotto is the father of all smart contracts out there. I mean,
Okay.
in 20 years everybody will still be using his sample. So first, what's happening? I've hard coded. So I haven't hard coded the address of the contract itself. I just have hard coded the address of the name registry.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually does a lookup of the name registry based on the name Make It Rain,
Yeah.
and then it decides what is the contract address, and then it shows the address on the screen and the text that we're using. Um, well, then we have our statistics. We have a couple buttons where you can make a tip, where you can claim your tip. You can look up your pending balance, and you can check it out. And these are the same kind of features that we showed last time on the Denny's Lotto broadcast. So for making it rain, we just do a little checking. Is your amount positive, and is your amount of recipients, is that within the range that's allowed? And then we send a transaction. So we send the money that you specified, and the first argument is actually the number of recipients. So that's an argument to the transaction itself. And then the contract can parse that, and then based on that can decide in how many pieces to split the payments and do the random payouts to all of these splits.
This is pretty cool.
So to check your balance, I did a little bit of horrible inline HTML generation. It iterates over all your addresses, and for each of them it checks what is your balance, and if you have a positive balance, then it displays this claim button. If you click on the claim button, it will send a transaction with a 0 ether value, and with that it signals the contract that you want to cash out. So it has 0 ether, no byte arguments, and that way the contract knows, so you want to cash out, and it will allow you to withdraw your winnings. So pretty simple. I mean, a bit of complexity was in the converting all the input and output and storage, and going from bytes to the unsigned 256 bit notation, and from JavaScript to and the JavaScript floats and all this casting that's going on. But other than that, this is pretty straightforward. And what is nice is actually with the JavaScript, you can actually still, because it has access to the full state of the client, you can still peek into the state of a contract. So you can still look what is at position 0, what's at position 1, what's at position 2, what's at position 3, and we use that to calculate the metrics that we display. So this is also great for debugging. You could keep some kind of internal log state or some internal audit log, and then you could have that displayed to the JavaScript interface in a bit more user-friendly way. Really, really useful. In the meantime, let's see if oh, my transaction was processed. My balance went up, I hope. Now I claim it. And I would expect my balance to go up to 346 at least. We'll check back into that in a minute.
Okay.
So that was the front end side. And now I'm just publishing it on using GitHub pages, but you can stick it anywhere, or you can have it locally available, or you can put it in some kind of distributed system. I think this is just it's still centralized because you have this public URL on one website, but I think one of the future steps will be to make this distributed, decentralized, maybe even stick a reference to this in Ethereum itself, so you can get it from a cache. The Lisp part. So we have the code initialization. We initialize myself, the person submitting the contract, the administrator. He's the first member, so he will be stored in there. And we have a list of it's a growing list of all the participants to the contract. We have a couple counters. Actually, I wouldn't need to initialize them as 0. That's done automatically, but this is just more for reference sake, so you know which are the offsets and the values of these statistics. And also on the location of the caller name, we track that he exists as a member. So we give him like one way to mark that he is part of the club. Next is we actually register ourselves to the name registration under the name Make It Rain. We call the name registration, and from there on we can be used using the Make It Rain name.
Very cool. Okay.
Contract body, basically 2 conditions. So if there's any argument, so if there's any transaction data provided, that's the main clause. And alternatively, if you're calling it without data, that was the trigger to withdraw. So that's the alternative path there. If you're calling it as with argument,
you could say the amount that you're withdrawing, or no?
No, it's just everything.
Okay.
You're just withdrawing everything.
All right.
If you're calling it with arguments, there's a special suicide clause in there for administrators. So if I'm the administrator and if I say the text kill, then it will deregister the contract from the name registry, and it will also suicide the entire contract. So it will remove the contract, withdraw the ether balance to the administrator, and clean up after it. So this is great for testing. You don't want to have this, I don't know, a lot of broken contracts out there on the blockchain, and it's nice to also to get the money back.
Yeah, right. If everyone puts in all this money and is tipping, and then you're afraid they'll actually withdraw it, you can just kill the
You
contract.
can just kill the contract. So this is a great backdoor to prevent them from cashing out.
I think,
Maybe for production purposes, we should remove this, or we should, I don't know, maybe before doing a suicide, we should actually do a payout to all the members instead of having the administrator get all the rewards.
it could go to some random address.
Yeah, pick one to get really, really, really lucky.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
So actually, if you provide,
Every time that someone tips in, there's a 1% that the whole thing will explode, and then
wow,
just a one random person.
how are we going to call that? Is that the cloud burst?
Yeah, I don't know. Might need to be a different contract.
Uh, so if you're actually sending some value to it,
Mm-hmm.
it basically calculates how many splits there are. So
Yeah.
so typically that's actually the value that you provided, but it checks that if you have more splits than there are members of the club,
Mm-hmm.
then it will take the members of the club as upper limit.
Yeah.
And the membership is stored in position 0 on the contract storage.
Very cool.
Um, Also, for some reason, I've just hard coded it to have a 32 members split out as maximum and one as minimum. I don't know. This is just I don't got the feeling you don't want to do thousands and thousands and just clock up the entire system yet. But that was just an arbitrary number that was picked. So next, it just divides the payment or your deposit, splits it into that many pieces, and that will be the amount that everybody will be receiving. It's updating the statistics, so how many times were tipped, how many splits there were there, and what was the actual amount that was paid in total. And then we just loop over that. So we have a little for loop construction until we have processed all the splits. And each time we draw a random number. So to do that, we use the previous hash, the previous block hash, and we add this counter to it. So that just creates
Mm-hmm.
some kind of random seed that is
Yeah.
different for each split that we're iterating over.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're calculating the SHA-3 hash of that combined
Mm-hmm.
number. And that will be our random number generator.
Cool.
Um, and then, of course, that we need to reduce to the range of the amount of members there are. So we do a modulo, we divide it by the amount of members, and the remainder, that is our offset to the member array that we're keeping in the top of the contract storage.
Right.
So of course the first time if you only one guy, it will just be the administrator, and of course if this is growing, if you have more participants,
Mm-hmm.
then well, one of those will be selected. So once we know which is the person that we're going to tip, we'll just pay the money. We just the split amount. We'll just pay it to his balance within the contact storage. And actually, once you have tipped for the first time, then you become part of the gang. But I wanted to prevent people from being member for multiple times. So if you tip 10 times, I mean, that could be an interesting alternative, but in this case, we don't want you to be added 10 times to the membership list. So
Right.
we need to check that that you don't exist yet. So that is why we actually check that your balance for your account address.
Mm-hmm.
If it's 0, then we know that you're new. So once that is the case, we increment the amount of members that we have.
Right.
We store that again in the contract storage 0 position.
Mm-hmm.
And then we store your address at the end of this list. And there's this little offset because we're not starting at 0, but we're starting at 0x10 hexadecimal. Actually, during implementing this, we had a lot of off-by-1 bugs. So instead of having this offset as, where is it, as OXOF, I would
Mm-hmm.
have 0x09 because I thought about decimal instead of hexadecimal, or I was using 0x10 and it would be right in the middle and it would override the administrator address, and that's how you end up with a lot of broken contracts. So
I
this
can see
pointer
that.
logic is pretty tricky to do.
Yeah, I'm not used to thinking in hexadecimal myself, so
So you might want to go back to your C books and your assembler learnings.
yeah.
Mm. So what we also do, we give the member one way, um, and that way we actually know that he is member. Because next time we don't want to iterate over the list of members. We actually want to do a lookup directly on his address to see if he's there or not. So we're well having a dual purpose for the balance, where we also mark the existing value as a as indication that you're a member of the group. We could have also done it in another way. We could have used two memory addresses or two storage locations. But we figured it would be more expensive and would be maybe
Mm-hmm.
even a bit more confusing to do it that way. But this way, we put it into one address.
Yeah.
So now, if you actually want to do your withdrawal, we check that you have more than this one way in your account. Otherwise, you cannot withdraw.
Yeah.
Um, we make a payment to the to the caller, and we send him all his money except for this one way, because we still want to mark him as member.
Yeah.
And as you said, we could have made it like add an optional argument where you can specify how much you want to withdraw. So in that case, we would just use that instead of the entire balance to send out.
Mm-hmm.
So we clear everything out, and we reset his balance to one way to ensure that he is everything is gone from the account.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see if I got my payout in the meantime.
So, is there any way you can write test code for something like this, or?
I haven't seen any test bindings yet for the LLL
Yeah.
contracts. So there was a lot of manual work involved with testing this. So it will be most interesting to have I don't know the CLL simulator to port that to the LLL simulator, or to have that integrated somehow before having to submit everything to the network and then wait a minute before your blocks get mined. So that's I think that will be a cool project for somebody to work on that. Very useful.
Yeah, I don't know you that well, Joris, but you strike me as the sort of person who likes to write tests.
Yeah, well, if that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I just read on Hacker News that that writing tests is not cool anymore. So I'm not sure
Oh,
I should be admitting to this, Joel. But
yeah. Well, you can be honest with me, Joris.
nobody else will hear it, right?
Awesome.
So let's actually briefly look into the contract before we. So we had the Make It Rain contract, and you can see so the membership list what was on the first location. The next one was 0xb, so that is 11 in hexadecimal. So how many times there was tipped?
Mm-hmm.
0x14, that is how many recipients in hexadecimal, and this would be the total balance of the total amount that was tipped. So that would be 81 ether. And then we have this growing list of members. So the first member, that's always the contract admin, that's myself. And the next one, I guess that is Nick, the other guy that helped me write this.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you were to send a tip to this, you would be on position 0x12, 0x13, etc., etc. So there you have this growing list. And we also have the addresses more in a dictionary approach. So as the key, the address, and then as value your balance, or just the 0x1, just the one way to note that you are a member.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can see, Nick also has some outstanding balance there,
Yeah.
which he should be claiming. Or I could just suicide the contract and steal his money. That would be the way to piss him off.
So that might be the Bitcoin way, but I don't know if it's the Doge way.
So what would be very good? I mean, I know Dennis, he's working on this doc system,
Mm-hmm.
where you
Yeah,
can
right.
separate a lot of concepts from your contract. So you can have your user module, and you can have your database storage, and you could have all
Mhm.
kinds of things. And there you could, uh, if you make a new version of your contract, you could just update it partially. So then the user database and the account balance would be still the same, and I could implement new logic or new cool features to the make it rain contract without losing this balance. So I'm very excited to see what Dennis is up with his duck thing. I think that will be useful for making more long lasting contracts and smart solutions here for Ethereum.
Well, I can't wait to see what we come up with next.